So our next value speaker, I have known Michelle Harvey for about 15 years. She started with Arby's a little over 20 years ago, has been an area supervisor on my team for about 6.5 years now. And to me, and she's going to get into this in depth, have fun is the glue that holds all the values together. Because you can only work so hard, as Dusty said. If you're not enjoying it, it's not going to last long. So, with that said, I want to bring Michelle Harvey up on stage.
You forgot to say I was your favorite. Hello, everybody. You will be exactly as happy as you choose to be. I want you to think about this statement as I repeat it one more time. You will be exactly as happy as you choose to be. Isn't that a powerful message? This has been my driving motto that I have used in my career for as long as I could remember. And I remember the first time that I really learned what this lesson meant. Picture me, maybe a little much younger version, 23 years old, so last year, or 15 years ago, version of myself driving home from college, ready to sit down with my parents and tell them I was making the biggest life decision. I was gonna stop going to school and I wanted to work at Arby's. A little scary, right? The good news is they weren't paying for my college. The other great news, so it was the first time that I learned that it's scary to decide what you want to do. What you want to do that makes you happy. See, I went to college for 5 years, and during that time, I went to school during the day. After I was done with school, I then played college softball. And once I was done with my college softball career, I would then started working at Arby's. After that, started when I was 16, but I still worked thereafter. Once I was done playing softball, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't feel that competitive. Have fun, make a difference. And at the end of my college career, I knew I had to decide what made me happy. I could go in my profession I had gone to school for, or I could choose Arby's. Would you believe I had to beg my area supervisor, Tim Olson, to promote me? I had to beg him, and he finally said, fine. You'll know on my orientation day, I don't even know if he remembers this, I was an hour late. I had overslept. I think I had too much fun with my friends the night before. But as you can see, I'm still standing here today, meaning that Arby's still supported me even if I overslept, and my parents supported me 100%. And they are my #1 fans still to this day. My dad texted me right before I got up here and said, go get him, you got this. Same thing he said back then. I'm sure they were a little nervous. But what I learned from that moment, and any profound moments after that, is you just have to fight for what's right and what you know what you want to do, even if there's a risk involved. Did I know when I was sitting there, and I was crying to my parents, it was scary to say, hey, this is what I wanted to do. Back then, people didn't say, hey, I want to stop going to college, and I want to go work at Arby's. Right? I'm sure some people have similar stories or stigma that I had. I didn't know that I would have the privilege and honor speaking you today on this stage as an area supervisor and about how to have fun. And I am so honored to be up here to speak to you guys today. It is our choice what we do in this world, where we work, and how we spend our time. And I know I have learned that I want to do what I have fun doing, what I'm passionate about, and having fun. When I think of the have fun value, I think it always starts with a choice. And there's 2 ways that I think people are in life. And that is you're either a fountain or a drain. And some of you might have heard this analogy before. But I want you to imagine for a moment a water fountain. Picture a beautiful one. Water's coming out, the sun is sparkling on it, there's pennies in it. It's just beautiful. It's Anybody ever looked at a water fountain and been mad? Anybody? Or do you look at it and say, oh, it's serene. You're just happy. Now picture if you're a water fountain as a person. You had energy when you're in the room. People want to be around you. When problems arise, we say, hey, we're going to get it. We just can do and get after it. Now if you're a drain, what does a drain do? It sucks the water. Does anybody like looking at a drain? If you're in any of my restaurants, some of them don't look too good, or don't work maybe. But drains suck the water out. And that's the same thing as those people that have that drain. They're negative, they complain. You ask them to do anything and they find every reason why in the world that they can't do it, right? We can't do it because of this. Do you guys want to be around drains? I know some of you guys are probably thinking of one right now. So I leave you with the fountain and drain to say, which one are you? Do we all have things that happen that are unexpected? Absolutely. Do we have surprises, sad things? But we have the choice of how we're going to react to it. When I think of a fountain that's impacted my life and the have fun value, I always go back and think of my general manager, Mike Schubat. Mike Schubat worked for Arby's for 21 years, and I had the pleasure and honor of working with him for 15 years of them. And 5 years of them, I was his boss. Mike was my general manager at East Lake Street Arby's. And every time you walked into his restaurant, he was having fun, sometimes even too much fun. I'd say, Mike, come on. You go in there, potlucks, fun Fridays. They'd go in and be wearing jerseys when it's not even Sunday. But he just had fun. Anytime I asked for his help in my area, he always said this, and it was the biggest smile. It was the same line. Hey, for you, anything, Michelle. My GMs would all call him too much for help because he'd be there, and he'd always say, hey, not a problem. And he'd always say, chica. He was just funny, no matter what you asked or what he did. So June of last year, we got a message suddenly that Mike had been diagnosed with brain cancer. He had found that they had a baseball-sized tumor in the front of his brain. This was traumatic for us and my group. His wife had done a fabulous job calling me, updating me, and what are they gonna do? She had told me that the prognosis wasn't good. He had two choices. He could do chemo, radiation, and he'd have up to 18 months, not guaranteed to live, or he could have surgery, where they tried to remove as much of the tumor as they could. I was happy to say that he was gonna fight. They didn't know, and he was gonna take the surgery. I should probably tell you guys that part. They didn't know with the surgery if he was gonna make it out the next day. But it gave him the longest chance. So the night before his surgery, which by the way, we just had found out on last Thursday, and he was having surgery that Tuesday. So this was all very quick. My general managers and I gathered and went to visit Mike. We were all a little nervous because it's not like you're in this situation very often. We went to visit him, and you could already hear Mike laughing from the hallway. You would think anybody that's in there and just got this news, that they'd be dark, sullen, upset, mad, complaining, right? Not Mike. He was picking on the nurses, laughing, joking. He was having so much fun, you probably would have thought that there was a party going on outside. And we still laugh about it today, because he did the same thing in my general manager meetings. But we spent the time visiting, knowing that this might be our last time with Mike. As you know, a lot of our areas have names. Mine is the Thundercats. If anybody knows what this cartoon is, I did not know. My GMs picked it. But it's a well-known cartoon. Mike had asked before we had left that day if he could lead us in one last cheer. We all gathered around Mike's bed, so 9 of us, and held hands. And Mike did this. Said, Thundercats, ho! And we all clapped our hands. Can you believe still can't believe it, that was his last message to us. Mike was in bed, dying, in pain, and he wanted to uplift us, and he wanted to make sure we were okay. And then he gave us a smile, and he wanted to say, Thundercats, ho. I'll tell you, that was one of the most profound moments, still to this day, when I think back on it. And we had never spoken about this until this speech today. What Mike's message said that we don't know what the outcome's gonna be, but we have a choice of how we can react and what we can do with it. I'm sad to say, or happy to say, Mike did make it out of surgery, but he passed away a short 3 weeks later, a month from when he had been diagnosed. My next story, you'll be happy to know, will make you laugh a little. It is the most embarrassing moment that I've ever had in my Arby's career. I want you to picture a room probably the size of this at a state theater in Minneapolis. I had my second annual meeting as a GM, and it was the first year I had some pretty dang good results. Back then, if you remember, if you got awards, for some reason we ran really, really, really fast up to the stage. Does anybody remember this? I don't know why. I wasn't fast when I played softball, still wasn't fast. But I picked an aisle seat, right? If anybody remembers, just in case, so you'd be safe. I wasn't too safe. But award time, I was the first one called. So excited, yes, I got the award. I don't remember what it was for. We'll make it something super good. The best one you could get, that's what I got that year. Except I didn't get a check, so it couldn't have been the best. But so I get up there, I'm ready to go. I run. I ran, in my head it was really, really fast, but so I'm running as fast as I can to the stage. I see it. Dave Erickson was my director at the time, and I saw my award in his hand, so I'm looking, running, and I jumped to get on that stage. You can picture this didn't happen. My foot caught on the front, and I fell in front of everybody on my hands and knees. I might have been down there for a little bit. It felt like a minute. It might have been 2 seconds. I don't know. Dave knows. But I looked up at him quick, and the look on his face of horror. He didn't even know what to do. I knew, as I was sitting down there for 3 minutes, I had a choice. So first, I better get up, right? Get my award. So here I am looking at Dave, knowing I had a choice. I could walk, turn around. I have to turn around, unfortunately. I have to turn around sometime and sit back down in my seat. And I knew I had a choice of how I was gonna do it. So I accepted my award, and I turned around, and I did this. Superstar. And this is a true story, because you can't make this up. And I went back and sat back down in my seat. I had a very good friend, my best friend that was a general manager as well, and I sat down next to her. I didn't look at anybody. I didn't see what anybody did. I didn't know, sat down, probably trying not to cry, and she's like, nudges me, you just fell on stage. Really, thanks. Yes, I did. And then she goes, did you just do the superstar? Yes, I did. I'll tell you, doing the superstar back then, I think was even more embarrassing than falling. Doing it again in front of everybody is still just as embarrassing. It is not a normal thing to do. But what I learned in that is how to have fun. How do you pick yourself up when you fall down? We fall down in so many different ways. In work, at home. I fell on my hands and knees. I had to get up. Sometimes we have to realize that's our choice. Are you gonna have fun with it? So I did the superstar. What will your last message be about you? Remember the 23-year-old version of myself asking my parents to support me in what I love to do? Will you fight for what makes you happy? Remember Mike and his story? While sad, I miss him terribly, still every day. But look at the message he left. Will you cheer somebody on when they need it so you know they're happy? Will you Thundercats? Oh, even when it's weird, say it over and over? Will you leave your message with people? Or when you fall down, will you get back up and superstar in your own way, or do the superstar? I want to leave you with a very important message. Anything you remember, that you will be exactly as happy as you choose to be. Thank you.